Welcome back to the Throttle Up podcast. We got Alex Clubb here of Club Racing Inc. Obviously, I met Alex last year in Daytona, and it was a pretty cool experience kind of being in Daytona for the first time and also getting to crew for a few teams. Wasn't the first time I've crewed for an ARCA team, but that was awesome to kind of help out in that way throughout that entire weekend. So, Alex, great to have you on, man, and thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's good to be here and talk to you.
Absolutely. So, going back to the first time you started racing, I know you did some dirt racing back in the past, but I couldn't really find anything online. What kind of got you into racing? When did you start, and how did that process start?
So I pretty much wanted to race since the day I was born. I've been at the racetrack basically since I was about 6 months old. My dad and my grandpa and all my family, they've all raced. My dad started racing in the early 80s. So at 4, I got a go-kart and I was playing around in the backyard with the go-kart from 4 to 8. And then at 8 years old, I started actually racing go-karts. And I've raced, everything. I've raced asphalt with the four cylinders and dirt with the four cylinders. I've done dirt street stocks. I've done asphalt street stocks. I've ran the mid-am car a couple times for a couple people. I've ran super lates on the asphalt. I've done UMP modified on the dirt. I ran a crate late on the dirt before. And then I've been doing the ARCA stuff the last 10 years. So I've been around for this my 27th year racing. So
Hmm.
been racing a long time.
Dang, that is awesome. So, you have pretty much raced almost everything. What would you say is your most favorite?
Definitely the ARCA cars. I really like them. Other than the ARCA cars, I really liked the dirt street stocks, the UMP street stocks, because
Yeah.
they don't handle the greatest. Driver comes into play more than anything with them, and they're just a heavy car that you throw around with a lot of motor. So they're a ton of fun to drive, and like I say, I love the ARCA cars. That's why we're doing that now. So it's expensive, but it's the most fun that you can have with your clothes on. So that's what we're doing.
For sure. Is it more of the handling of the car, or is it more of um, the speed that you get from it?
I like it because you have to drive them.
Mhm.
And they're a big, heavy car. They kind of drive like a mid-am or a street stock. So um, they're not nimble like a super late. So you got to back up your corners and you got to have really good brakes. And um, I like the truck arm suspension because they handle really good with them. But they're just overall heavy, and you gotta drive them. They're not something that drives themselves. So I just really like having a car that you have to make it work. It's more fun that way. So
For sure.
that's why I like them.
Absolutely. And you started back in ARCA whenever they had the steel bodies. Which would you say that you prefer driving? Do you prefer the steel body or do you prefer the new body?
I like the new body. I mean, I love the steel body stuff, but in the new bodies, we were able to raise the cages, or actually had to raise the cages for them. So it gave you more headroom and everything, easier to get in and out of. I wasn't as big of a guy back then, but I'm a fairly big guy now. So just being able to get in and out of the cars is huge. And everything with seats, they keep making seats bigger and bulkier and everything. So I never got to drive a steel body car on a
Hmm.
track bigger than a mile. So I don't know the difference in the handling and the aero stuff with them, but um, you know the fiberglass or the composite body stuff, they're nice because a lot of people complain about them, but we can fix and repair and make adjustments on them ourselves. Whereas the steel body stuff, you had to be a fabricator to work on them. So it's just it's easier. It's same with the motors. Like people complain about people complain about the motors, people complain about the bodies, but at the end of the day, it really does save you money. It's just the initial investment with everything is big, but it it's racing. Racing's expensive. It doesn't matter what level you're doing it at. It just all costs a lot of money.
For sure. I've had similar things going from dirt to asphalt. It definitely costs a lot more money. I mean, I'm going from a dirt pure stock to an asphalt late model, but it's definitely a lot less work on the cars. Yes, it's a lot more money that I'm spending, but definitely a lot less work on the cars, and I kind of like that. Um,
Yep.
but yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. That people like to complain that, oh, it's a lot of money on the front end, but obviously there's a lot less work that goes into it. And so you can kind of
Right.
more focus on the development of the cars. So yeah, that's
Yep.
awesome. So when you started getting into racing or getting into ARCA, you started with Carter 2 Motorsports back in 2015. How did that deal
Mhm.
come about, and how did you get it into ARCA in the first place?
So, every year they run the sportsman race before the ARC race at Springfield, and I'm a dirt guy. I've ran dirt all my life. So, um, one year, a buddy and his girlfriend and family, they're like, "Hey, why don't you come with us to Springfield? Help with the sportsman car, watch the race, all that." And we got there, and I was in love with the ARCA cars. So I ended up sneaking my way into the ARCA garage and basically spent the rest of the day there. Didn't care about the sportsman or nothing that I came to do or help with that. And walked around, talked to as many people as I could, hung out in some pit stalls and stuff like that. Um, and I talked to a few teams, and nothing really progressed because it was big money. And one race budget for a back of the pack ARCA team was more than I was spending for a season to run a street stock. So
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I don't know how this will work, but I just kept talking to people and everything. And I saw that Roger Carter, they were looking for help at a couple of races. So I said, hey, Madison's only a couple hours from me. I'd love to help. So maybe it was Springfield that was the first one. However it was, I think it was Springfield was the first one. When helped him man the dirt guy, and I was wanting to run and all that. So he called me. This was 2014. 2015, he called me in February before Daytona, and they were short on money trying to get stuff together and done. So he made me a deal that was just a absolutely no way you could beat it kind of deal. And I went that route, and I did two races with him, and they were I did a start and park for him and then two races with him, and it didn't go great, but I mean it was a back of the pack team. I wasn't expecting to get $100,000 ride for what I paid, so
Yeah.
um I wasn't upset with none of it. I just knew that we had the know-how to put cars together and get equipment and do stuff. And, I came in at the tail end of Rogers' deal, and it was falling apart and everything. So I knew there wasn't going to be a ride next year. And I just knew if I wanted to do stuff, I was going to have to do it myself. I had a partnership with a guy, and we bought a car. And by we, I mean me. We went to buy a car and three motors, and he showed up with $1,000, and that doesn't buy cars and motors. So very quickly that deal fell apart because I had spent all my money and he didn't bring his money. So 2016 was kind of a flop. Um, I just got everything going for 2017, and it's just kind of been an uphill climb since then. But my first race when we actually ran Springfield, I think I finished like 17th, two laps down. It was an interesting day. We had one set of tires to run on, and had I came into pit and I think the other car dropped out or something. I can't remember. So they were going to put his tires on, but they fueled mine first. And as I was leaving pit road, the clutch master cylinder actually fell off the firewall. Um, so I went back out and I said, "Hey," I said, "I don't think we're going to be able to do tires." Um, you know, we the clutch just went out. And they're like, "Oh yeah, we see the master cylinder. It's sitting about 3 stalls down." So they said, "We're gonna have you come in and just bump it out of gear, and then when we go to take off, we'll just have you shut the car off and then run the starter with it in gear, and we'll push it for it to start." I said, "Well, that's a great idea, but the starter is broke, so we had to get push started because the starter didn't work." So they're like, yeah, you're on your own. Just stay out." So, and I drove the absolute dog shit out of that car for the first half of the race. And that was back when it was all live stops and everything. And so I really needed tires, and we were on the lead lap up to that point, and there was just no way that we were going to hang on with old tires. And we ended up 2 laps down, but we finished. So that was fun. And we went to DeCoin a week or two later and had a motor issue there. But I mean, overall, it was a good deal for what I paid for. I couldn't complain. I know some people had some issues, but it just you kind of have to know what you're getting into when you're getting into it. And if you get a deal that's too good to be true, you have to know that it's too good to be true. So it's tough, but that's the way it is, unfortunately, in this line of racing.
Yeah, absolutely. So after that, you went and started your own team in 2017. Did a couple races there, and then 2018 is when it really kind of I started ramping up a little bit. Tell me what it was like to get your own deal together and all that, and starting that team itself.
Well, it was a lot of fun. Um, I pretty much tanked everything else I was doing. Um, we bought that car in 2016. It took us a long time to build it because it costs a lot of money to do. Um, and we went to our first race, which was Springfield with it. And we were trying to do other stuff, but stuff just kept getting pushed back. And I told my dad, we're just gonna, we'll wait. We'll make sure we got everything right with it. And it got closer and closer, and we were we were prepared for Springfield, but we had a lot of late nights. And I just was at a point with it that I wanted to go run that race. I didn't want to miss it a second year. And we were decent. We went there and we were running all right. Qualified so-so. And we were running the race and they had a wreck. Somebody took out Riley Herbst and everything was just a wall of dust on the backstretch. And I slowed down because it was right after a restart, like 58 laps in or something like that. And it was right after a restart, and the guy behind me just right reared me and just absolutely junked us, hurt my ribs, hurt my back, destroyed the car, and we were done for the year because I didn't have another car and everything else. So our 2017 wasn't very good, but 2018, I went and bought 2 cars, and the car that I bought that we ran in 2018 is actually the car that's our main rental car. That's the car that Jeff was running some last year and some other guys were running last year. Um, and then the car that I bought that was with that was the twin to it, is the new car that we built last year. There was a Hendrick chassis. But we did 3 races in 2018, and we just did what we could. We were way under budget, all used tires, nothing spectacular with anything, but we were just trying to be there and do stuff. And then I think we did 2 races in 2019. The second race, we had a head gasket go on the motor. So that was pretty much the end of that. And then we ended up I met the Richmonds and I helped them with some stuff. We did a little bit of testing with the dirt street stock so that Tim could get accustomed to running on dirt and ended up doing a start and park at Elko in Wayne Peterson's backup car. So um supposed to be more than that, but I ended up getting fired from that deal because I outran the primary car. So that didn't go good when I lapped the primary car, but
Hey, there you go.
it happens. Which actually that car is the one that Nate's been running. It's the purple and black Toyota. That's
Okay,
the Dodge Toyota deal. So that ended that, and then COVID, of course, ruined 2020. So that was a bad deal. We ended up doing one start and park at the end of the year at Kansas, which we were supposed to do more than that, but um, we got there and the car that I had bought didn't fit one template with the body, so that didn't go over real good. Being basically a nobody with barely any starts, so
yeah,
they were real rough on us with everything. So I had to get out there and run practice to be able to run the race, and we didn't get any practice, so we were in deep doo doo there, but it all ended up working out over time.
for sure. Did COVID more kind of hurt like the financial side of it, or was it just getting the parts together to go and race?
It was just, man, it's just so much money to do this,
Yeah,
and I was just taking all the money I could get and any extra penny I had, and I was putting it towards building a car. And I mean, I bought a car. I bought the steel body cars. I paid like 3 and 6 thousand for them, and the first composite car I bought it for 6 grand. Just everything adds up. I mean, you got fuel cells, you got seats, you got motors. Like I bought my first Elmore used for 16,000, and that was a ton of money for me to spend. So I mean, I pieced that car together for about 25,000 in 2020. So, and I
that's
mean, I'm not a
that's
whole lot
insane.
more on most of my cars. Like we do everything as cheap as we can. We do it as right as we can, but we just save as much money as we can. Um, but minus motor, I don't have a single car that I've built, like minus your drivetrain. I don't have a single car that I've got more than 15,000 in from start to finish with it. We just get everything secondhand from bodies to parts to you name it. It's not the best way to do it, but
When you
you
want to
can
go
spend
race, you
more
got to
on
go race.
suspension. Right. I mean, you can spend more on front suspension stuff than what I've got in an entire car. So,
Exactly.
um, I get used bodies for next to nothing from guys, and it's 15,000 for a body, or I buy a used body for 2,500. So, that's the only way we're able to do it is just we nickel and dime everything that we can and try to spend the money that we have where we can when we've got it. But we've gotten to a point now that, with rentals and everything, we've grown it a lot and now we're able to buy better stuff. And we've been upgrading equipment as we go the last few years, but it's just, if we have $100,000 a year to put towards stuff, which a lot of years we don't, you know, the other guys that we're running against have 1 million to put towards stuff. So
Yep.
you take 3 steps forward, but the guys you're running with are taking 30. So it's a never ending cycle of trying to catch up on a lesser budget and everything else to go with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And the fact that you have, well, the fact that the first car you built was $25,000 and now an Elmore engine costs like triple that right now. So,
Yeah, there's 72 new for an Elmore now. So
yeah, it's insane the budgets that it costs to race an ARCA at this point. And people
yeah.
don't realize that. So, people will, you every now and then we'll have those keyboard warriors that will come on the comment section and comment about speed. But obviously, when you have a tenth of the budget, There's not much you can do off of that. And the thing is, there's
Right.
teams that have Nitro Motorsports is getting data from Toyota. Joe Gibbs Racing is Joe Gibbs Racing, obviously, and
Yep.
you're competing against those teams with a small, like you and your dad from Illinois in a like three-car garage, I think it is. Could be wrong.
Yep.
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 So three-car garage, an old trailer that you just got, which was a one that had a fire in it,
Yep.
and now, I mean, you're competing against some of the best of the best. I mean, really, it's Joe Gibbs Racing, which is one of the best NASCAR teams out there. So
Yep.
the fact that you guys are doing that is amazing. So pretty much you started all of that, and then you had the partnership with Richmond Racing in 2021. Tell me
Yep.
about kind of that year and how all that kind of worked out.
So it was a deal where, I had my car that we rolled over from 2020, and they had all their equipment and stuff. And we were going to go full time. And David, that is Tim's dad, nice guy, but he just doesn't know anything about vehicles other than, how to do a pad slap and change the oil and drive it down the road. Um, so me and my dad and a couple people ended up, we built a bunch of cars and did all the setup stuff. And, they had one full-time guy that was Bradley Fry. He did a lot of the stuff, and I would double check his work, and we would do setup stuff together, and all that. And it started out good. The first two races of the year, I got my first top 10 was my first actual race at Kansas. I finished 10th there. And then we went the next week to Toledo and ran 8th. So, we were pretty happy. And then stuff just kind of went downhill with stuff. We did have a top 10 qualifying with Tim at Charlotte, but everything just kind of started to fizzle out. And then Tim got hurt at Michigan on a Friday, and then at Sunday we went to Springfield and the motor blew in my car. So, um, you know, we had an agreement that no matter what happened, either me or Tim would be in the cars. And uh, after all that happened, they decided to put a pay driver in, which I understand, but if you have an agreement, that's the agreement. But um, it was what it was. So I decided to part ways with them on that, and they finished out the year the best they could, and the rest is kind of history. So then we went on to 2022 and been trucking ever since.
Absolutely. So in 2022, Club Racing went full time with you didn't go full time yourself on the driver's side, but you did go full time with the team, and you kind of had
Yep.
some pay drivers in there a little bit as well. What was the workload like going from a part-time operation with another team, then going to a full-time operation by yourself and your dad? How was that whole experience like?
Well, if our deal with Richmond wouldn't have been a thing, I would have probably never done this full time. So I'm a very pride driven person, and I was at a point with it that I was pissed off. So um, I decided I was going to lose my house, my business, and my marriage to run a full season and beat them in owners' points. So I did it. It was rough. I think they made it to like race 6 and then they folded up. So at that point, people are like, well, you could just fold up too. I'm like, nah. I'm like, I'm going to keep on going because I'm having a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah.
So we started doing rentals and stuff, and that's the only way to survive with this unless you've got an unlimited pocketbook. So, um, I did some rental stuff, and we had a handful of people that were, decent people. We dealt with Casey Carden; he was really good. And we've dealt with him every year since. He does a great job. But it was just, a year of just trying to get through because we had one car and one motor, and Um, it was just tough, but we did it. So I think, I'm trying to remember, but I think that was the year we wrecked at Milwaukee. I think it was 22 or 23. I can't remember, but we, we got through 22 and that set us up for 23. And we started doing, a little bit more stuff. And then, I went full time in 24 and, uh, we did a part-time car for 10, I think it was 10 races, 10 or 11 races
Yep.
with the 86. And, we just keep building it every year. And, last year we did full time with, two cars, and we're gonna, do two cars full time this year, and then we'll probably have a third one part time. So we're just continuing to try to build and grow and keep keep the momentum going with it.
Absolutely. So back in 2023, it looked like you did the whole season. You got the owner points that you needed. 2024 came, you went to Daytona and you
Yep.
qualified for the race. Did you qualify for the race in 2023 as an owner?
We had a provisional that we used.
Okay.
I can't remember where we qualified. It was probably dead last, but that was a car that I got as a partial payment. So Roger Carter in 2023 ran a race at Berlin for us, and I took the chassis, a bare chassis, and I took that bare chassis in on partial payment for him to run the race. So, um, the car wasn't the greatest and it didn't have a ton of speed, but I was happy with it because me and my dad got the car back with a body on it after Thanksgiving, and we busted ass and built it over the winter and went to Daytona with it. And granted, we rode around all day, but we ended up eighth after everything was said and done. So that was another one of those, pride moments that you'll never forget it.
Absolutely. So coming across the line, you get eighth. Obviously, there was a wreck on the last lap. What was your emotions going through that last lap and to realize, oh, I just finished top 10 at Daytona?
Well, it was the craziest thing I've ever seen. So we went back green, and I can't remember exactly what we said on the radio, but we were all happy because we were going to finish like 21st at worst. So we decided to kind of hang back on the restart. And I was like, you know what? I'm there with it. So I started to like stay with the pack. And we get going down the backstretch, and I seen some smoke and some sparks. And I'm like, I'm not destroying this car. Not the first time out with it.
No, not at
So
all.
I lifted down the backstretch, and then all hell broke loose. It was like driving through the frickin' scene in Days of Thunder. There was just cars wrecking and smoking and just everywhere. Like I'm halfway through three and four, and there's still cars bouncing off the wall, coming off of four and wrecking. So I didn't know where the hell we were at. Like I didn't know how many cars had wrecked. I didn't see anybody in front of me. I'm like, shit, I don't know if we're the last car that made it. I have no clue. I didn't know if we were first, third, fifth, 15th. It was just a blur. So we come across the start finish line, and I don't even think anybody knew where we were even at. Like we were just all like everybody was just shitting their pants that we made it through the wreck. So but I was super happy once they said, yeah, you're eighth. And, that was just awesome. I mean, it was one of those things, where we eighth on speed? Absolutely not. We were probably the slowest car in the field other than one or two of them, but we were persistent. We were there all day. We missed all the wrecks, and we just rode in the back and did what we needed to do to finish.
For sure. And that started the full year of your first full year as a driver.
Yep.
Obviously, you had the 86 that was running full time as well as a another car as for options as well. But
Yep.
tell me about racing the full year, and was that a commitment to yourself to run the full year, or was that more of just how it happened with all the different with obviously rental rides and all that kind of stuff?
I had planned on doing the full year. That's what I wanted to do. And I knew, if we could do at least six rentals, then we could get through the year. So we just did what we could. We ended up, I can't remember how many actual rentals we had, but I know we went to 10 events. And it was just a thing of I wanted to do a full season ever since I was a little kid. Growing up, you wanted to run cup. So once you get older, you realize you can't do it.
Mhm.
Um, and then I figured out a way to do ARCA, and ARCA is my cup series. So for me, I wanted to do the full year. And then as a race car driver, you're greedy. So at that point, you're like, all right, well, we got through the first year and it sucked, but we did it. So what do? You do it again and you try to do better.
Yep.
So now we're on year three of that. So um, I want to try to do it as long as I can. I don't know when what year will be the last one. So I'm just going to keep trying to do it as long as we can.
Absolutely. So go back. Well, now you're going into 2025. You got the full year under you. You know you're going to make Daytona just based on the points and all that kind of stuff. You got the second
Yep.
car there, or not the second car of yours, but you got City Garage there using points from the
Yep.
86. I was down there my first time in Daytona, and I was like, well, I've already got my ARCA pass. Might as well go and help some ARCA teams this weekend. So yours was one of those ones that I went to go help out. I talked to your dad over
Yep.
the off season about renting possibly. So went down there, kind of helped out. We got had like 20 people for two cars, I think it was.
Yeah.
Some crazy number. But we all kind of pitched in, helped out, and it was a great experience for me as well. But yeah, you
Yeah.
obviously went through that race and you got a 16th place finish after the wreck fest of wreck fests for the first part of the race. How many?
Yep.
I don't know how many laps down we were. I think it was like 10 laps down because of it was a brake issue,
The
correct?
brake pedal. Yeah. Yep. I
So the
can't remember.
brake,
I think we were 6 laps down, but I can't remember the exact number.
yeah.
But yeah, we were coming to green, and I'm on the back stretch, and everybody checked up, and I got on the brakes real hard, and it popped the C clips off of both of the rods for the hind joints. So when that happened, um, I had no brake pedal because you have that spring that holds the pedal, and that spring just pulled the pedal up under the dash. So I was smacking it down with my hand trying to get the pedal back under my foot, hoping that I could get it down to a point that I would have um something that would work as a brake pedal, but that wasn't going to be the case. So I just said, "Hey, I got a major issue. I'm coming in." And my dad's like, "Oh, well, stop in the pit box." I'm like, there's no stopping in the pit box. Like I said, get guys and go to the garage. And I think I was turning off into the garage as the field was coming to green. So,
Yep.
but we had a couple guys in there and working on it. And the one kid's like, I told him, I said, if you can just get a wire tie around it to where it'll hold that in there, I said, we'll go with that. And that's what we did. And luckily they had that big rack lap one or whatever. So we didn't lose too much time, but it, from there it was just riding, which I don't know. I'm assuming we probably would have missed that first wreck, but you never know. So we
Yeah,
could have been, could have had two back to back top tens, but at the end of the day, 16th and a finish was good. So we took that.
absolutely. So going into the year a little bit, um, obviously you guys were chugging along with two cars every single weekend. That was awesome to
Yep.
see. You get to Elko. So after all of that, you get to Elko, and that was the first race that I came up to help out besides Daytona. I get up there,
Yep.
and I think we had, I believe, probably three or four guys for that whole weekend. Um, so I get up there. We have three or four guys for the whole weekend, and it was
Yep.
to the point where you were like, "Well, do you know a spotter around these parts?" And I was like, "Well, I can spot for you." And I lied and I said, "Oh yeah, I've got tons of spotting experience." I only had one modified race that I had spotted before that. But obviously, I was like, "Well, I'm a racer. I know what I want as a spotter from a spotter." And I thought it was a great opportunity to also kind of translate to my spotters when I come back to Missouri and race what I want from them.
Yep.
So I thought it was a great opportunity to do that, but also I felt like, okay, I can do this. No matter what, I can do this. So we went up
Yep.
top, got yelled at once by NASCAR for not telling you to stay behind the pace car under caution, but I that's neither here nor there. But so the whole race, we went through it, and we got a top 10 finish from it. That was probably the craziest race I've ever seen, and just best to be spotting it as well. Um, like a crew member standpoint, that was a crazy race in general, but to be spotting it was
Oh
even
yeah.
crazier. What was it from your point of view? Because I know it was what from my point of view. What was it from your point of view? And I'll kind of give you mine after that.
So we were just fighting to stay lead lap, and we were quicker than everybody else, but we had to be in the right line to be fast. The car wasn't where we needed it. So
Mhm.
we kept catching lucky dogs. Well, every time you get a damn lucky dog, you're behind all the slugs. And all the slugs wanted to block and screw you around. Well, then you're a half a lap down by the time you get around them.
Yep.
And the 31, they told her to block us. So I got pissed you know, I just started punting her and I punted one of Hillenberg's cars. And I think I punted like three of them. I was just done with it,
Yep.
you know. But the 31, they just kept telling her to block me. So finally I got pissed and I just started ramming her and um she ran me up when I was outside of her, so I hit her in the right rear. Wasn't gonna right rear, but I figured, hey, you're fucking around, you're about to find out, is what I was trying to get through. And by that time we'd went a lap down again. And I think I came on the radio and said, let me know when there's a gap. And I drove that thing off into three and put us both in the second groove. And I lifted when she got sideways and then drove by her and ran off and left her. And about two laps later, I was a straightaway ahead of her. And the digital dash started blinking 240 for water. So I had caved in the nose and we were screwed. So then I was even more mad.
Yeah. I remember.
But
So that was before the end of stage two, or whatever Arca likes to call it, the competition caution. I remember that. So
yep,
the first 50 laps, I was kind of like, dang, we're still in the lead lap. But it was like the end of stage one, and we're still in the lead lap. Everything was going pretty smooth. I think we went a lap down, of course. We got the lap back. And then we were going through the
yep,
pack. It was like, well, we're the lead lap. Why aren't you letting us by? And it was car after
yep.
car. Then we got to the 31. And the entire time I was just like, okay, Alex, just be calm, just be calm, just be calm. And then I could see just over time, it was like, okay, I mean, obviously it was getting to the point where you were mad and legitimately so. It was so
It was
obvious.
blatant.
It was like,
Yeah.
what are you doing? This is a lead lap car. Let him by. But obviously I had to make sure that I was telling you to calm down and make sure it's a long race. So I had to do my job on that front. But I remember I was in the spotter stand and I was trying to find the 31 spotter just to say, like, what are you guys doing? Just let us by. Because obviously it was going to become a bigger problem. But yep, we had that happen. We got
Yeah.
to the pit, we got to the stage in, and then try to cool the car down. And then that last stage was like the best management job I think you and I could ever do. What was it from your point of view of managing that car to the end of the race to make sure we got that top 10? Because we had a few laps on them, but obviously the car was overheating the rest of the race. What was that management job on your end?
I was just pissed because I couldn't run the car hard. I had to run like quarter to half throttle. And then once I knew like where we were at and then I could run it hard, like I think the last 10 or 15 laps, I just ran the car hard and let it get back up there to like 240, 250 on water. Cause I was like, we're not going to come here and um, have that happen. Like I was willing to just destroy both cars if the 31 was going to get 10th and we weren't. You know, like
Yeah.
I was so pissed because it ruined our day and um, you know, couple other ones. Like the one kid, he still won't talk to me when in Daytona. And I'm like, hey, whatever, dude. Like I was over it the next day, but you don't have to be. You can cry about it. I don't care.
So yeah, I remember the last 75. We had the water going up, but obviously I think we had 3 laps over the 31 and or the
Hmm.
31 and the 10, and they were kind of swapping. So with the other, we had another spotter there, and the 86 starting parked that race. Um,
Yep.
so the other spotter, he was constantly refreshing our race monitor as I was keeping kind of you informed of what was going on in terms of the gaps. And then I remember
Yep.
about 10 laps ago, I mean, we're kind of managing it. So I was like, okay, we're going to keep it. We're going to keep it. We're going to keep it. And then as soon as I was keeping you informed of what the gaps were, what the gaps were. And then we got to where 10 laps to go, she passed us for basically so that she was on the same lap as us. And I was like, go hard, just keep on her ass. So then there's less distance between us. So if the leader passes us, doesn't pass her, we're not on the same lap. So I
Yep.
want, and pretty much we did that. We kept it green the rest of the race, and we got that top 10 finish. And then obviously we had the interview after the race. So
Yep.
obviously, that all happened, and you had one of the funniest interviews. Well, not the funniest, I would say the truest interviews. Kind of just saying the rich kids don't really know what they're doing. The rich kids kind of put other people's um, they put their other people's cars second when it comes to the racing. Obviously, Quinn is not a rich kid, you could say, but she is definitely her dad has helped her a lot to get where she's at. So on
Yep.
that front, especially with the 31 team, you kind of had a little bit of a rivalry there. It kind of all spilled out there. Um,
Yep.
and then what was kind of the reaction from at least the social media side and then also the ARCA side after that?
Social media side, everything was great.
Yep.
Um, everybody was like, "Yep, that was the truth." And Arca's like, "Yeah, that's not exactly what we wanted you to say." So they let me know that I would be getting fined over it, and I said, "Well, you guys got to do what you got to do, and I got to do what I got to do." And I ended up, I took it and ran with it. So we raised like $3,200 on a $500 fine because everybody was mad
Yep.
about me getting a fine for saying the truth. And I just, you know, I had some other ideas. I was thinking about bringing a wheelbarrow with like $500 in pennies to pay the fine and all that. But I'm like, I probably ought to not do too much. But
Yeah.
well, it all worked out.
Yeah. And I
It just
remember I think I donated to it as well. And I think there was a
Right.
lot of like high name people that you're like, wait, they donated to it too?
Yeah,
If you want to say who was like the craziest, what was like your, oh, they're donating? Thanks, but like why? So
there was
what was like the craziest person that donated in your
there was so many. I would say probably the craziest was Big Bill Venturini come and gave me like $200 cash at Lime Rock the next week. I think it was Lime Rock we went the next week.
Yep.
And yeah, he walked up to me and he's like, "That was awesome. Don't change."
And the thing is that you say the rich kids, and well, Bill is not a rich kid, of course, but he's been in the sport for a long time. And whenever you're a
Yep.
top team in in the sport, you're gonna get those rich kids come through. And the fact that he
Oh
was
yeah.
like, "Yep, I agree with you. Here's $200."
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
was the fact that that happened was very funny to me. So that was awesome to see that.
Right.
So the next week you got Lime Rock, and I think you had the funniest interview, in my opinion, that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Because not only was it very stern, you didn't break character whatsoever. Everyone behind the camera is cracking up. You don't cuss. You say what you want to say, and I don't think you stuttered once in that entire interview. So That was hilarious. And then what was the social media reaction after that? And did you expect to get fined at all? And you obviously mentioned, oh, I won't get fined because I didn't cuss. So what
I
was that
I
like
just
after that?
I didn't care. Like we've had trouble with the 31 group and um yeah, the dude's just an idiot. I mean, he was out there that day. He spun like 6 times, did like 12 laps of qualifying to the point that like they had to say for the next 3 races, like qualifying is not practice. Get your stuff to the track on time and do your practice in practice and your qualifying in qualifying. So he had to pit and he had like stuff. I don't know. He was like 6 laps down. I'm not a road course guy at all. So I had 4 piston brakes and we were just running just hard enough to outrun whoever we were running with. And if you were quicker, I didn't care because we were just going to try to finish. That was all we were there to do. And the dude's an absolute idiot. Like we were, I don't even know what part of the course you call, but you like went through the S's and
Yep.
then
Big
you
braking
have
zone.
that big hill that you go up
Yep.
over. He like cut through there and like cleaned out my right front
Like
going
cut
up
through
over that
the
hill.
chicane part.
Yeah, like cut through the grass to get by me, like basically just side slam me through the grass. And I was pissed. So I just grabbed a gear and I matted it and I had him sideways all the way up the top of the thing. And I figured I'd lift when I got to the top because I figured hopefully by that time he wouldn't catch it and he'd just stuff the thing. And then I figured whoever's coming, it ain't one of my cars because my car's parked. So hopefully somebody will annihilate him and he'll be done. you know? Well, he just went like down the straightaway just like a freaking fish. And he caught it by the time he got to the end of
The little straightaway there.
that little straightaway and I hit him again wide open going off in there. And I tried shoving him off the track. We both went like off into the grass. And by that point in time, I come on the radio and I said, "Here, kitty, kitty." And shit, we drive down the front stretch and I was on his ass. And we drove down into there and he drove in like 6 car lengths deeper than he needed to and frickin' looped that thing, spun off into the grass. And I gave him the finger and kept going. And it was pretty funny because there was like a screen grab somebody got from the race broadcast of me giving him the fingers. So
There you
it
go.
was it
Hey,
was great.
I'll need to find that photo. So we'll find that photo for the thumbnail there.
It's
So
somewhere. But I was fed up and I had it and I was ready. Like we got out of the cars and I was ready to just punch the dude right in the face. And he had to go to the infield care center because he was hot. So I didn't get that opportunity, but I did get the opportunity to have a great interview, which worked out way better than punching him in the face because I would have probably got suspended for that. But I just feel like anytime that you are in a race car and you hit everything but the pace car, you shouldn't be out there. And I said some stuff about, that we should bring back weekly drug testing and all that.
yep.
And I meant it. I mean, if you're that much of a menace, you've got something going on, whether it's drugs or mental or talent or a combination of all three. But I was just, I was fed up and I had it. And it was 2 weeks in a row I had to replace a nose on our car. So I wasn't happy.
There you go. And it made for a great interview and
Yeah.
another viral moment. And I kind of mentioned to you the next time that I saw you, I was like, I think after every race I've been with you, we have a viral moment. So this is great. So
Yeah.
then
Good stuff.
we go on a few weeks and then Iowa happened. I was there, Iowa, spotting for Colby. And
Hmm.
then obviously after the Iowa race, you had a decent run there. Decent run going, and then I think it was LeVar Scott was trying to get through the field and kind of clip the left rear, cut down a
Yep.
tire, and kind of ended that run a little bit. But obviously, leaving that race, you had an incident with the trailer and
Yep.
had to fully rebuild the car. Tell me about leaving Iowa, what all happened there, and then what the process was like to get that car ready for Watkins Glen the next week.
Yeah, it was just a whole process of just I wasn't happy with our Yates motor. So we put the Elmore back in, and the guy that was working for us, the motor mounts on these have slugs. He decided to not use the slugs. He tried to put two bolts in one side and one in the other. So I couldn't even run the car hard through the corners because the damn drive shaft would hit the cross members. So I was just all around just really mad. And LeVar took our left rear tire out on a restart. They checked up and everybody checked up but him, and we were the lucky recipient of it. So, um, it was just one of those deals that it sucked and I wasn't happy. And, then of course we have scuffed tires, and the guy that did the motor mount thing, he put a new tire on the car and he gave the crew the wrong tire. So we went back out and there was a yellow right away. So we came back in and they changed the tire. Well, I didn't find out that they used new tires and not scuffed tires until after the race. So I was really angry at that point. Um, so I just in firing mode, I was firing everybody. You were there, so you probably remember some of it. So that guy got fired and a couple other people got fired, and I was just done with it. So we left, and I was supposed to go to the zoo the next morning with my wife and kids. And my buddy Tom, I was the best man in his wedding. He's since been divorced, but him and his girlfriend were with us. And my dad was driving the other truck. We stopped at the I-80 truck stop to get dinner. And we were leaving, and he goes, "Well, do you want me to drive?" I said, "Well, sure." I said, "I can get a couple, about 2 more hours of sleep, and then I can get up earlier in the morning."
Hmm.
And I can't remember how far down the road we were. It wasn't too far. And he hit some rumble strips, and I said, "Hey, you good?" He's like, "Yeah, yeah, I'm drinking this Monster, and just I'll be good." We were like an hour and 45 from the house or something at that point. And so I went back to sleep. Well, next thing you know, I wake up. We're running about 90 miles an hour in the median,
Ooh.
and I just said, "Tom, what the fuck are you doing?" And he woke up. I think he shit his pants, jerked the wheel right, and it jackknifed the truck and trailer. The trailer with the car flipped, and we went from the median across 80 off into the ditch, and the trailer ended up on its side in the right lane. And then we ended up having three different semis clip us and tear stuff up. So it was just absolutely terrible nightmare. We were on the side of the road all night and half the morning, and they wouldn't rotate it on the scene. So they drug it back 30 miles to their shop, and the straps that hold the car broke on the way. So the car was just bouncing around on its side in the trailer. And so it totaled the trailer, tore the car all up, totaled the truck. Um, I had to pay 8,000 and some dollars cash to get my stuff out of hock. So it wasn't good. But luckily for me, Colby ended up paying me in cash at the track for his race. So otherwise, I wouldn't have got the car back until, geez, it would have been probably Monday when I could have got money out of the bank. So we ended up leaving Saturday morning. Was it Saturday morning? Yeah, Saturday morning with all the stuff. And the car was we just, everybody we could get, we worked 20 hours a day just working on stuff and got everything the best we could. And all we did for setup was turn the rear end straight and change the left front upper A-frame. And we went because I'm not a road course guy, but Casey Carden is. So we gave him the best car we could. And I just had a car that was just going to make laps. So that was where we were at with it. So we had my little red enclosed trailer and an open trailer going out there, and went out there and we both finished. I think we were 14th and 16th. So it was just a really, really long, terrible week.
Yeah.
And Very, very, very bad. A lot of sleepless nights, but we made it.
There you go. Yeah, and it showed the perseverance of you, your team, and you and your dad and your family. And I think it was kind of shown like everyone was like, "Dang, this team really put stuff together." You got a lot of social media followers out of it, and also
Yep.
got some screen time as well with Fox
Yep.
talking about it. So, um, in the end, obviously not the ideal situation, but obviously you got a lot of good. Um, you got a lot of good support out of that, and it's continued to grow since then.
Yep.
With that whole process, you ended up building a new car. Um,
Hmm.
and so far, the car has been really good in terms of like Kansas, Toledo last year. What was how that whole process like getting that car to the track at Bristol? And then you can touch on as much as you want to touch on with the whole Bristol race and all that kind of stuff.
I mean, it was smooth as you could have for building a new car. We just had a guy that come along and he wanted to run Bristol, and he's just delusional and wanted to try to win the race. And we told him we could build him the best car we could build and see what happens. And so we built him a new car with an Elmore, and um, you know, I don't know. You can build a car for people, but you can't drive the car for them.
Hmm.
Um, the problem you have with this is you have a lot of guys that can come up with money and they're really good at getting money to race, but they have zero business being in a race car. So as that whole thing came together, Arca had said he's been out of a car too long. We need to see him at another track. So, you know, everybody and he says, "Oh, nobody can beat the boss, this and that and the other." Well, I don't give a shit. Like I give the better car to everybody. Like I drive junk so that the people renting can have a car that's good and stable. So he had a brand new car that was best of everything for what the budget was to do it. And we went to the coin with the other car, and Joe Cooksey was running that car, and he said at Springfield, he's like, "This car's really good." He's like, "I feel like I could have ran about seventh with it." Well, it's same car, same setup, same everything that we went to DeCoin with, and I think he ran maybe 2 or 3 laps on the lead lap with it, or above minimum speed with it. And cooked our motor, didn't run the radiator fan, didn't understand how the radiator fan worked. So, I mean, it's a switch that says fan, you flip it and it works. Um, so the whole Bristol deal, it was just nothing but a fiasco. And we, so we were supposed to get there that Wednesday night, and we were going to get him fitted the rest of the way in the seat because we did a seat pour. And the seat pour, I'd never done one. So, I mean, it wasn't perfect, but it had everything but, your butt and your legs, which, I mean, you just do padding for that. It's not rocket science. So we were supposed to get there Wednesday night. We're going to leave early in the morning and get him fitted the rest of the way, do belts and everything, and put whatever stickers he had left on the car because everybody's more worried about stickers than anything else. So the night before, it was like Tuesday, and I was going back and forth with him and our rap guy at like, I don't know, midnight, 1 in the morning. And he was all bent out of shape and this wasn't right and that wasn't right. I'm like, well, dude, you had your design, you gave it to my rap guy. My rap guy printed it, brought it, I installed it. We put the sponsor logos where we could, and he had all these names and things. And so we didn't leave until 3 in the afternoon on Wednesday because we had to fix rap stuff that wasn't right and this wasn't right. And I'm like, dude, none of that affects the performance of the car. But that was all he was worried about. So we got to our hotel. I can't remember. Anyway, from the time we got there till the time we had to leave to go to the track, we had 2 hours at our hotel that we were staying at. So we got to the track, we parked. So obviously, none of our stuff that we needed to do with fitting him into the car the rest of the way was done the night before. So we had to do that. And it just, at that point, when you get to the racetrack, I mean, you've been there, people unload the cars and they're right in tech line.
Hmm.
And
Yep.
before tech line's done, you have practice starting. It's just the way it is. Like
Yep.
you're busting ass. Well, we had to screw around for a couple hours to get everything where he wanted it. And I'm like, dude, we already had the pedals and we already had the steering wheel and everything. You know, you came up and we set that in the shop before we ran to coin. And just none of that was right. And I mean, you've been there, they don't want you working on stuff in tech line. They don't want you doing a bunch of stuff in tech line. And he was mad. He's like, well, we could be doing this stuff in tech line. I'm like, no, we can't have you in the car and do a bunch of stuff in tech line. Like, it's just not the way it works.
So they're
So,
they're pre-checking stuff all the way to like the actual tech
right.
itself.
Yeah, you just can't mess with stuff. Like you have 10 stations or 7 stations or whatever it is, depending on the track you go to. So, we did everything we could, but we got thrown under the bus as being the biggest pieces of shit there was. And Um, so we got to practice. Well, there was barely any time left to practice. I went out and just ran a handful of laps with my car, and he ran a couple with his, and he spun out like lap two, and just super slow. Never ran the car hard. Um, so he tried to say that we sabotaged all this and that. Well, Ilmor goes through and they do everything on the car. Like they make sure your throttle's 100%, all that. So he just never ran the car over 76% throttle. Like that's just what it is. We didn't put a throttle stop in the car. We didn't conspire with Elmore or Arca or anything else. The guy's just delusional. And I know he's delusional because in a call with him and his wife, a week or two before the race when we had to do the DeCoin thing, they're telling me that John, I'm not even going to say his name. He is bigger than Cletus McFarland, and NASCAR and ARCA was worried that he was going to take away from the spotlight of Cletus being in the race.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I'm just like, I don't know what kind of crack you guys have up in the mountains where you're at, but it must be really good crack. So sorry, that's the way I feel. So I'm just like, all right, there, whatever. So um it was what it was. I mean, the dude just killed the brakes on the car and never ran hard, and then cried that he had to get help after the race and nobody was there. And I mean, you got parked for minimum speed and nobody was really going to see if you needed a Coke and a hug and to pet a puppy. um you didn't perform, you oversold, under delivered, and you got parked for it. So now you go home. And I had the intentions of talking to him the next day or after his sponsor get together and tell him, look, this didn't go good for you. Let's regroup and we'll go to Salem and see how Salem goes. And I was going to give him a good discounted price on it just because that's who I am. And I felt bad that he looked like an idiot. Now, it was 2 races of him being the idiot, but I just thought that's the route I'm going to go with it. Well, no, he had to make some big spiel that, well, we're parting ways. It's like, okay, well, we had a contract for 1 race. So, I mean, we kind of parted ways after that race. So, you know, good for you, good for your stroking your PR ego, you know.
Hmm.
So we got past that and we went to Salem and Chris Golden did a start and park in the car and Jeff ran the car at Kansas and Toledo and Kansas went great. He got knocked off the track by Chris Wright and it knocked the water line loose and knocked a hole in the oil cooler, but it was just minute enough that we were able to finish. Jeff was happy. I mean, that car was rocking and rolling. He outran me, which was expected because it was better equipment. And Toledo, he had an issue with some rubber getting in a spring and had to come in and pit. But overall, it's a solid car. It's the best car we got. But you know, you can build people the best of the best, but if they can't drive, it's not going to make a difference. So
For sure.
what do you do? I mean, I don't really care. Like, I'm not mad about the situation. Like, we did our end of the deal, and you you just can't. Not everybody can drive. So, and the last race that they had with us, they wrecked our car lap 3 at Charlotte and destroyed it. So, if you go back and you look the last race before that, it was a truck race at Martinsville and they junked the truck they were racing like 50 laps into the race. So there seems to be a pattern there.
Yeah. For
But like
sure.
I say, it is what it is, and I don't.
Absolutely.
And, you know, you can just talk shit and go run a sport mod. Enjoy, like whatever. I don't care.
Absolutely. So went to Kansas. I went to Kansas myself, helping Jeff McConey and yourself. That was a good race, just between you and Jeff kind of swapping with Jeff having a little bit better car and then you having, but also Jeff having those little issues as well. We
Yep.
got through that race, and I remember Jeff got out, and he was so ecstatic because he was like, "Dude, it felt so good in that car." And I had to chuckle a little bit because obviously you saw all the stuff that came out the couple weeks before,
Oh,
and
yeah.
people talking on social media. So to have that and kind of Jeff be so happy with the car, it was I guarantee was validating to kind of have that happen. To kind of see,
Yep.
okay, yeah, we could actually build a car here. It's not just people talking on the internet. So.
And that was a thing too. Like, I had thought about running that car, and I'm like, no, you know what? We're gonna put Jeff in it because Jeff doesn't have a lot of experience, and we're gonna show that this car is the better car because I'll guarantee you he was gonna go outrun us. And it exactly went the way that I knew it would go. And that should have been the way it went at Bristol and anywhere else the car is ran. But like I say, these cars are 95% car and 5% driver, but that 5% is a very important percentage of the equation.
Yep. Yeah, that I mean, yeah, 5%, but obviously if there's no driver, there's no 95%. So, yeah,
Yep.
totally agree with you on that. So, we go to 2026, you run Daytona, but now you got the full year ahead of you. What's been the process like over the off season? Getting a trailer, obviously you had that in Kansas as well, but you're kind of
Yep.
expanding a little bit. What's 2026 have in store for club racing, and what's kind of the future after that?
We're just trying to build, like all off season, we spent the whole off season just trying to get equipment cleaned up and gone through and stuff redone, make stuff nicer, repaint stuff, just get the cars nicer overall. Um, so we've done that and we're getting there with everything. Oh, it's a process, you have a race car, so you know how it is.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Our our problem is we have 4 of them, which for doing this is not that many cars, but for the manpower we have, it's just an astronomical amount of work. So, um, Our Daytona car's our Daytona car. We got it done. We went to Daytona. Daytona was going great. We were running great. And then we had shock mount rip out of the A-frame, which is just a freak thing. It happens. And we hit debris, so we were out of the race. Otherwise, we would have probably been, 18th to 20th, which would have been fine because it was not a lot of wrecks in a race. So we were just going to ride around and get what we could get. So now we're working on the whole deal for going out to Phoenix. So I'm going to run the new car that we had that we built last year, and Jeff's going to run our workhorse with the Yates motor in it, and we're just going to go out there and see what we can do. We got two big holes to dig out of with both numbers, so for owners points. So we're just going to go out there, and the goal is to just get finishes now. So get finishes and try to get good finishes. So
Absolutely.
we'll see how it goes.
For sure. So you do have a new sponsor for Phoenix. Um, Tell me about that sponsor and how that's going to help you kind of make the trip to Phoenix and what's going to do.
Yeah, well, they're not a new sponsor, but
Hmm.
so we have Yava Pie Bottle Gas. They're coming back for our fourth year. So they're actually doing um Kansas and Phoenix for us this year. So
Awesome.
we're really excited about that. We're gonna have a meet and greet next Wednesday from noon to 2, up at their place in gosh, where is it? I think it's Dewey, or I don't know the exact location of it. Prescott, no, it's Prescott or Prescott Valley, Arizona is where they're located at. So we'll be out there, and then be real cool looking car. We're doing the wrap that we had at Bristol, so we're gonna bring that back for that race. So that'll be cool, and I'm sure it'll butt hurt some folks, but that's fine because it's my car and I don't care. So we're excited for that, and the guys with Yava Pie, guys and girls, are happy, and we got new wrap going on Jeff's car, so everything will be we'll be in good shape. We just gotta stay out of the wrecks and be clean and get a good finish for both cars.
Absolutely. And for this year, I know there was talks of like a three-car option, in
Yep.
case like someone rents a car, and then you have another car come in. Is there plans to have that three-car option, especially with Jeff renting out 15 races?
Yeah.
And with that, what number are you going to be running for that car?
So we've got two cars that are gonna be dedicated with Elmore's, and we'll have the car that has the dedicated Yates motor. And then I'm getting another open motor built currently. So all that's in the works. So as of right now, we can do 13 of the main series races and the couple whatever standalone deals. So we got that option. The third car will be number 83. Um, I think right now we have about 5 races currently that we're going to have 3 cars at.
Heck yeah, that's awesome.
That can always change. We're open to more. We're not afraid to do more. It does kind of suck that now we got the rig, and then we'll have races where we still got to have a second vehicle towing stuff. But when we've got people that want to rent and have some money, then that's just the route we got to go with it. So, um, I'm excited for it. We're just trying to continue building the program and see what we can do.
For sure. And me and Colby talked about it last week about having those different options for drivers because now you got the Ilmor motor that you can rent out to drivers. You also got the Yates motor. You got an open motor. So you kind of got a full range of options for drivers that
Yep.
can they go and compete against. They can go out there and what Colby said was ride and just kind of make the laps, get experience and all that. But you also have a
Yep.
car with what Jeff ran last year. Like it can compete. It can compete with the next step up. And that's also
Yep.
giving drivers a lot of options there because they can kind of stay in your pipeline a little bit longer if they want to develop their skills as they go up. So That's pretty
Yep.
awesome there.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean our short track options, I mean with
yes.
the with with the eights, I mean we range anywhere from, 10,000 on up for a short track, and that's scuff tires and all that. And then Elmore cars, you're looking at 25,000 for a short track. So um it gives guys a chance. I know it's astronomical money. 10 grand sounds crazy for a race on scuffs, but it's just so much money to do it. So
Yeah,
we're getting to the point of being the last team that is affordable. All the affordable teams are kind of going by the wayside. You've pretty much got us and Peterson and Andy. Past that, there's really nobody that's affordable anymore. So
yep,
it's just getting to a point that it's gonna eventually, if we all three go away, it's just gonna be Buco Bucks or you don't race. So
for sure.
we're
And
trying to keep an option for the blue collar people, even though it's not really blue collar price, but you figure if you can go run an ARCA short track for 10 grand versus, 60 or 80 for a big team, that's quite a difference.
absolutely. And me and I mean, we were talking about it. I think more Andy is going to more of like he's consolidating all of his stuff, and so he's kind of increasing his price a little bit.
Yep.
So it kind of leaves a gap where people are like, well, it's either Peterson or Club, and I mean, that's good kind of to get those options there, but also, I mean, now we've got more options along the way as well for drivers. Um,
Yep.
so then, I mean, because Peterson's got two cars he can run a week, you've got pretty much one or two cars you can run for that $10,000 option. So
Hmm.
it gives drivers an option and also gives drivers options to kind of go up from there.
Yep.
So speaking of going up, what do you see 2027 on? Do you see club racing to expand to three full-time cars, maybe four? What's kind of the trajectory that you see on that front, or is it kind of just play by ear?
Um, I don't know that I want to go to three full time or four full time. Um, I know I say that, but 5 years ago, I would have never thought that we'd run full time with one. So, um, it just all depends on dollars and cents and if it makes sense. I definitely would need more shop help, need better truck and trailer to do another one full time. Um, I just don't have the room. We have a three-car
Yep.
garage, and it's me and dad and my uncle and whoever shows up here and there. So it's just really tough. I need to be where we can have dedicated employees, but dedicated employees means I have to raise prices because I have to pay people more money. Um, people don't want to come and work for a Mountain Dew and a slice of pizza. So, back in the day, you used to have people that were gung ho about racing and they just wanted to be a part of it. Now it's wants money. So there's nobody that are hobbyists with it. And you're running NASCAR, so everybody thinks you're a millionaire and you can pay them $20 an hour, and it just doesn't work that way. So
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't mind having a four-car team and all that, but that's way more of a headache than what I want to deal with. I would need to get a shop and space and more cars, and it'd just be a money thing. You'd need motors, you'd need transmissions, you'd need gears, you'd need cars, you'd need another semi hauler to really do it right. So, um, at that point, I mean, if somebody come along with $1 million and wanted to go racing, then we could invest and get some better cars and another hauler and everything we need to do. But um, we haven't found anybody that wants to spend $1 million with us when they can go spend 1.5 with Nitro or Gibbs or you
Yep.
know somebody that is established and good. So, and that's kind of the thing that all of us guys like us and Wayne and Brad and Andy back, because we're all capable of running good. It just costs to do it.
Money.
So, if we were all on $1 million budgets, then you'd see a lot better racing. But we're not all on $1 million budgets. I mean, some of us aren't even on $100,000 budgets. So it just makes it really tough.
For sure. And with that, obviously, you are running an Elmore motor, which is the same as the truck series.
Yep.
Pretty much all you would need is the chassis itself and to build a body around it. Is there thoughts of possibly running the truck series one day? Would you like to run the truck series one day? And is that possibly something in club racing's future?
Um, I mean, I'm a firm believer in you need to run good where you're at before you move up.
Yep.
So until we're running like lead lap or close to lead lap and competitive with the ARCA stuff, truck's just out of the question. Um, you can be a top five ARCA car and you're going to go miss races in truck with being a top five ARCA car. That's
Yep.
just the way it is. Um, so when we're a 15th place ARCA car that can't run on the lead lap consistently, I mean, say you make a race because they don't have enough trucks. Well, then you're probably going to be fighting all day, driving your ass off just to try to stay above minimum speed. So is that worth it? Not to me. You know, if we could do it right and have the money to do it right, sure, but it just it's tough. I mean, I watch guys that I know like Greg Van Alst, like they're working their ass off just to try to make races, and it's just you can go broke real quick doing that, I feel like. And it's just not I don't know. I'd love to do trucks. I'd love to do a race in an Xfinity car. I don't think I would do it in my own stuff, and I also don't think that I would pay the astronomical prices that
Yep.
guys are getting for it. Um, but I understand where they're at with it because you have to have the shop, you have to have the equipment. I mean, I was talking to Ty Majeski last year, and I mean, basically they're 300,000 per truck by the time they put one on the track. So
Yep.
I get it. I know the dollars and cents and what it should be. It's just, um, I just can't justify spending half of my year's budget to run one race, and I can't justify doing that in a that you're thin. You know, um, I would love to do it, and I've had some offers, and I may actually do a truck race or two this year, with a team that we're working with, but I don't know that that'll happen. Um, everything's very fluid with it. If it happens, great. If it doesn't, I won't be upset. But I just think this year with with having the colleague trucks and a few other people showing up, I mean, making races are going to be really tough. So
Yeah. 100%.
if you're
Because
not
we
on your A
never,
game, you're not going to make it.
for sure. Because we've never seen Atlanta have a full field, I don't think ever. And the
Yeah,
fact that they've had a full field really shows that the truck series is thriving in terms of car count, but that also does kind of alleviate the people who want to race off a budget who want to show up and make the race. So um, kind of
right,
disappointing for like Norm Benning and all those kind of guys, but obviously to see more trucks on the track is also good as well. So
right.
kind of a
And I mean,
two-edged
it's a
sword there.
thing of if you can do it right, the money is way better. Like what our winning money was for the ARCA race at Daytona, that's what it paid to start the truck race. So if you could make it, you're leaving with 28 grand.
Hmm.
But if you don't make it, how much did you spend to not make it?
That's bucks up on
So
money.
yeah. So I mean, it just and Xfinity is even more to make, but at the same time, you have to spend more money to run. So at what point do you kind of go back to you're on the same hamster wheel of you're not making money? It's just the ARCA stuff. There's a safety net with it. There's stuff to protect the teams that are full-time teams. So it's just kind of the place for us. and
Yep.
it's way more relaxed than the NASCAR stuff. You have the more relaxed tech and everything like that. With ARCA, if you've got stuff that's close, they'll tell you, hey, fix it for next week. With truck or anything else, I mean, it's you fix it here and you have it right, or you don't go past this point.
Yep.
And, a lot of us that run ARCA, we don't have big teams and we don't have engineers and we don't have fabricators. So there's things that we just can't fix at the track. So, I mean, that would probably, if I was going to do trucks, I would probably, in my best guesstimate, need about $2 million to get a part-time deal off the ground and do it right.
Yep.
And I don't see anybody knocking down the door to give me $2 million or more to do that. So, I'm happy where I'm at. If something comes up where I do get to get in a truck, then great. But if not, then I'm happy where I'm at too. So, it is what it is.
For sure. So everyone's heard it here. Club needs $2 million and he can start racing truck series. So somebody get on that right now. But yeah,
I don't know that
hope,
they'd
hope,
like me there, but we'll see. Maybe we'll find out.
there you go. All right. And then, so kind of wrapping up the show here, what would be your favorite racing memory?
With ARCA or just as a whole,
Just as a whole, what's your favorite racing memory?
I don't know that I have an exact favorite one. I guess it would probably be the night that I won the championship back in 2012 at Fairbury in the street stock. It was like a super, super thin point spread, and everybody hated me because I was winning races and didn't want me to win the points. And then he had the other guy that was like Jimmy Johnson that had tons of championships. I think he had like 10 or 13 or something like that. And I think he won the race and we ran second. I won a championship by like 5 points. So um that was a great memory, and I had everybody and their brother taking a shot at me, trying to wreck me and all that. So that was a lot of fun to overcome that. And then other than that, I'd say my when we ran eighth at Daytona, driving through that wreck was just insane. So those are probably my two biggest ones.
For sure. It was like Vietnam just going through all of the cars, I guess.
Yeah, it was wild. And then past that, my dad getting to do some of the stuff because usually it's the other way around. Your dad puts you in stuff, and we've built this together, but it's all my money and all my ideas and knowledge and know-how. So, getting to have where he's done some races at Elko and he got to start in Park Bristol and tested Daytona. He's 61, so you don't know how much longer he'll be able to do stuff. So, um, just getting to have him get out there and do stuff. And he did the test at Kansas. So,
Yep,
he's had some laps at some of the cooler places and that. So just be able to see all that.
for sure. What would you say? You've got a lot of funny racing moments. What's your funniest racing story that you can remember?
Mm, I don't know. I got a lot of them. Um,
Well, give me one. Give me one right now.
Probably we had a guy that he was super soft, and we were in Kansas, and I told him, "Hey, go grab the generator out of the back of the truck." And he's like, "Oh, I need help with it." I'm like, "What are you talking about? You need help with it?" I'm like, "It weighs like 20 pounds." I said, "Quit being so soft." So he was all mad, and we were at the Airbnb, and we got one guy that he works for me with my lawn care business, and um, he was laughing at the guy. I think he called him a sally ass or something like that. And dude walks in the Airbnb and just smokes this beer out of his hand. It goes flying across the Airbnb, hits the wall, explodes everywhere. And then he just like starts yelling and screaming, and they were gonna square up, and I'm like, dude, we're in a duplex. Shut up. Because I mean, we weren't gonna find anywhere else to go, you know. So I got him all cooled down, and I think that was his last race because he quit after that. But it is what it is. But that was a pretty funny one.
Seeing
um,
a beer flying is pretty funny, you know.
yeah, it was pretty good. And then we had some stuff in Dega with the guy that with the beer. They had this thing called the Dega Dong Bong. I was trying to get him to do beers out of that so I could take pictures of it. And he's like, wasn't doing it. So that was a good one. Just Dega in general is just a wild story. So
Do you stay for the whole Dega Boulevard throughout the weekend or
no, we just I've been there what, two, three times. We've done the boulevard a couple times. Last year I actually fell in the going to get in the bathtub. I slipped and like smoked my leg. I thought I broke my foot. So we didn't end up even going out. I just sat with ice on the thing. So, but yeah, I mean, Dega Boulevard's insane, but it's we don't stay all weekend. We just do the Friday night, Thursday night, Friday night deal, and then race Saturday and head home.
for sure? All right. Well, before we take off, what is one thing people don't know about you that they probably should?
Mm, I don't know. Probably that I've raced all my life. A lot of people think I just started doing ARCA just for the hell of it. That I've raced all my life. I've won 3 championships. I got 44 feature wins. I got a wife and 2 kids. I'm an alderman and I used to be a bouncer. So other than that, you know, I'm just a regular blue collar everyday guy that runs a lawn care business. So um I don't know. I'm just a simple person. So,
There
you
you
know,
go.
I don't really care about a whole lot. Just stuff that makes my race car go faster and my family happy. So that's about it.
There you go. So you're saying you said you used to be a bouncer. You're not a bouncer anymore?
No, and I they keep like saying that on like broadcasts and all kinds of stuff. So I used to bounce at a bar called Honest Abe's in Morris, and then a couple years ago they quit doing late night stuff. And with having kids and that, I don't want to be out till 2 in the morning dealing with a bunch of drunk idiots. So when they quit doing it, I didn't pursue it going to other towns or bigger bars or anything like that. But I did it for 5 or 6 years probably. It was a good time. Got to see a lot of drunk idiots, but it just got to a point with it that it was just getting stupid. So when they ended up ending it, I was fine with that. It didn't hurt my feelings.
Hey, and you got a good story out of it. So, and you also
Yeah.
got, I mean, some good recognition from Fox. So, all
Yep.
right. Well, we'll take off. Hopefully you have a great rest of your year. Good luck at Phoenix, and hopefully I'll see you a few times this year whenever I come up and crew and hopefully maybe get a race in this year. So,
Right
um,
on. Sounds good.
all right. Well, you have a great rest of your day, and thank you all for watching Throttle Up Podcast, and have a great rest of your all day.